I first learned of the Griffith family in a 1989 article in the San Francisco Examiner. The piece, written by staff reporter Lily Ang, was part of a mammoth 16-day series on gays and lesbians in America. The Examiner was commemorating the 20th anniversary of the Stonewall incident, considered the birth of the gay civil rights movement in America. The Stonewall Inn was a Greenwich Village bar whose clientele, on a warm summer night in 1969, defied a squad of police raiders, repelling them with bricks and debris and attracting hundreds to the scene in a protest that stirred gays and lesbians to action around the nation. I was deeply stirred by the story of Bobby Griffith's suicide, saddened by the waste of this young man's life. The scalding self-hatred contained in the excerpts from his diary included in the account was indeed painful to behold. My instinct was to grab hold of the boy who was writing these words and shout, "No, Bobby, you've got it all wrong. You're okay. It's the others who are crazy with hatred and ignorance." But of course it was too late. Unable to reconcile his gay sexual orientation with his family's religious and moral beliefs, Bobby had leaped to his death from a freeway bridge in 1983. Other gay kids were dying by suicide. In fact, some statistics maintain that gay teen suicide was approaching an epidemic level. What made the Griffith story unique was not only the daily record contained in Bobby's diaries over 4 years, but the companion tale of his mother, Mary, a blue-collar suburban housewife. Included in the Examiner package was a confessional piece by Mary Griffith, in which she told of the religious fanaticism and fear of gays that had led her to wage a relentless campaign to get her son to overcome his homosexuality. She had been too committed to her deep-rooted beliefs to notice that her rejection of Bobby was contributing to the self-hatred that ultimately culminated in his death. The death of her son brought into question Mary Griffith's most basic beliefs. Looking back, she wrote, "I realized how depraved it was to instill false guilt in an innocent child's conscience, causing a distorted image of life, God, and self, leaving little, if any, feeling of personal worth." The story went on to document Mary's belated change of heart, her rejection of her religious doctrine, and the beginning of her crusade to help save the lives of other gay and lesbian children. Now she could say, what a travesty of God's love for children to grow up believing themselves to be evil with only a slight inclination toward goodness, convinced that they will remain undeserving of God's love from birth to death. This extraordinary conversion touched me as deeply as the tale of Bobby's tragic death. This woman of limited education was able to cut through a lifetime of conditioning, risk rejection by her religious peers, and embrace society's outcasts. How did she accomplish that? I wondered. What enabled her to transcend her background and perform what could only be described as acts of courage? Like a lot of other gays and lesbians, I had my own history of rejection and self-hatred. Fortunately, I never contemplated suicide. It never entered my head as an option. My self-loathing took me in other directions. Directions not quite as final, but certainly damaging, painful, and self-defeating. I survived, and indeed, over many years, made peace with myself. But the Griffith story gripped my heart at a moment when I was taking a major new turn in my own development. At the time the article appeared, I was the executive editor of the Oakland Tribune, a successful senior journalist whose gayness was known to his staff. I'd come out to them and to my family and friends several years earlier after a lifetime of subterfuge and lying to protect my personal and professional image.